The water type is by far the most abundant, with 175 individual Pokemon, and here are my top 10 favorites, not including starters or legends. Honorable mentions to these 3. 10 is Golisopod. It'll definitely be my top bug list too, this thing is just so cool. 9 is Starmie. The design is nostalgic for me, and I saw just how incredible in battle it is in my last Nuzlocke. 8 is Slowbro. I've always loved this derpy little guy. 7 is Milotic. If I wasn't scarred from this thing walling me in battle so many times, it'd probably be higher. 6 may surprise you, but it's Golduck. It's just so cool. It's been one of my favorites since I first played Red as a kid. 5 is Tentacruel. I've used it in game more times than I can count. It's extremely underrated. Plus that episode of the anime was awesome. 4 is Vaporeon. Hey you in the comments. No, we will not hear you out. It's always been my go-to evolution in game until Sylveon came out. 3 is Gyarados. Do I need to explain? I mean, come on. 2 is Kingdra. Fierce yet majestic. I love it. Number 1, I thought was a legendary for my entire childhood, and I still think it deserves something more in game. It's Lapras. What are yours? There are 149 normal type Pokemon, and these are my top 10 favorites. Honorable mentions for these 3, but number 10 is Stoutland, a staple on every black and white team that I had. 9 is Beware. Man, this thing is an absolute monster if it has Fluffy, and it's adorable. 8 is Porygon Z. It's unique, it's really strong, I like it. 7 is Braviary. It was very briefly my favorite Pokemon ever when Black and White came out. 6 is Sawsbuck, and I'm honestly shocked there are so many Gen 5 mons here. It's my least favorite gen for sure, but this thing is awesome. 5 is Snorlax. It's amazing, and I don't think I need to explain. 4 is Hisuian Zoroark. I mean, come on, this thing has to be one of the coolest Pokemon designs we have to date. 3 has very recently skyrocketed into my favorites, but it's Pyroar. I don't know why it took so long for me to love this thing, but it's gonna be my new mascot. 2 is Staraptor, probably the best early route bird in battle, and I'd be willing to bet that none of you guessed that number 1 would be Pidgeotto. There are 138 grass type Pokemon, and these are my top 10 favorites, not including starters or legends. Honorable mentions goes to these 3, but number 10 is Leavanny. It's a cute design and surprisingly awesome in battle. 9 is Delmise. I don't know why, but I think this thing is just so cool. 8 is Tropius. It's the poster child for needing some attention. An evolution, a baby form, a regional form, something. 7 is Go-Goat. Somehow they managed to make a grass goat intimidating, but it's really cool. 6 is Flapple. Honestly, it's a really interesting concept and a great design. 5 is Whimsicott. I gained huge respect for this thing in my Fairy Lock of Sun. But real quick, if you're enjoying this, do me a favor and hit subscribe. I'd appreciate it. 4 is Sawsbuck. It's just so majestic and it has a cool gimmick. 3 is Phantump. Look at this little guy. Trevenant is so cool, but this thing is just adorable. 2 is Leafeon, probably my favorite evolution. I think they absolutely nailed the design here, and it's amazing in battle. Just like number 1, Roserade. It's incredibly strong and gorgeous. What are yours? There are 132 flying type Pokemon, and these are my top 10 favorites, not including starters, legends, or gimmick forms. Honorable mention goes to these 3, but number 10 is Yanmega. It is absolutely awesome. 9 is Togekiss. I was so excited when this first came out, and even more so when it became a fairy. 8 is Gliscor. It's just so cool. Incredible and intimidating design. 7 is Braviary. It used to be my number 1, but it's fallen off pretty hard lately. 6 is Talonflame. It's a Phoenix Falcon thing, I don't know, but it's awesome. Real quick, if you're enjoying this, go ahead and hit that sub button. I'm making a ton of these. 5 is Staraptor. It was literally on every Gen 4 team I ever had. 4 is Corviknight. They absolutely nailed it with this thing. It is everything Skarmory wished it was. 3 is Gyarados. I don't think I need to explain. 2 is Pidgeotto. It's been a favorite of mine since like 1999, but so is number 1, who is just undoubtedly cooler. It's Scyther. Comment yours. The Psychic type is surprisingly the 5th most common type with 131 Pokemon, and here are my top 10, not including starters, legends, or gimmick forms. Honorable mention to these 3. Malamar may be 10, but this evil psychic squid is definitely awesome. 9 and 8 were also on my water list, so I won't explain again. 7 is Armarouge, Armarouge, whatever. I still feel like this thing's a mythical or something. I can't believe you can get it in games so easily. It's so cool. 6 is Gardevoir. Getting the fairy type immediately made me like it even more. 5 is Espeon. This and Leafeon are neck and neck for my favorite evolution. Real quick, if you're enjoying this, hit subscribe. I'm making a video for every type. 4 is Gallade. I promised myself I wouldn't make a Yu-Gi-Oh joke here, so I'll just settle for saying it's awesome. 3 is Metagross. It's so incredible. Such an intimidating design. It's almost perfect. 2 is Alolan Raichu. I always preferred Raichu over Pikachu, and its Alolan form is both amazing in battle and it looks great. But number 1 will probably always be on top for me. It's Alakazam. What are yours? There are 100 bug types type Pokemon, and I think it's the coolest and most underrated type out there. Here are my top 10 favorites, not including legends or gimmick forms. 10 is Beedrill. It may not be amazing in battle, but it's such an awesome design and it's filled with nostalgia for me. 9 is Yanmega. This prehistoric looking dragonfly is so cool. It's a much needed Yanma evolution. 8 is Vikavolt. If it wasn't so slow, it would be higher. Even the Pokedex talks about how fast it is. I just don't get it. 7 is Orbeetle. Bug Psychic is a great typing and I love the whole spaceship ladybug concept. 6 is Centiskorch. The 8th gen games may not have been great, but they had some awesome Pokemon designs. 5 is Golisopod. It's about as ferocious of a design you can give a bug while still looking like a Pokemon. Real quick, if you're enjoying this, hit that sub button. I'm making one of these for each type. 4 is Excelgor. I love this little ninja bug. 3 is Heracross. This thing is a powerhouse and it's adorable. I'm gonna cheat for 2 here, but Scyther and Scizor are 2 of my favorite Pokemon overall. But number 1 is absolutely amazing. Gorgeous design, and I thought it was a legendary for years. It's Volcarona. What are yours? There are 95 individual fire-type Pokemon, and these are my top 10 favorites, not including starters, legends, or gimmick forms. Here's some honorable mentions, but number 10 is Houndoom. I can't deny how amazing it looks, even if Gen 2 had some of the weakest designs in my opinion. 9 is Alolan Marowak. The blue-green fire looks so awesome. 8 is Centiskorch. Bug Fire is an awesome typing, and I love the design. 7 is Chandelure. One of my favorite ghost types. It's incredibly strong, and I love the purple fire. 6 is Talonflame. One of the coolest bird Pokemon, a staple on most of my Gen 6 teams. Real quick, if you're enjoying this, hit that sub button. I'm making a video for each type. 5 is Armarouge. It looks like a mythical and honestly feels like it when you're using one too. It's amazing. 4 is Pyroar. It's been in a handful of these, so I won't explain again. 3 is Cerulege. I haven't even played Violet yet, but come on. This is one of the coolest fire type designs we've ever gotten. 2 is Volcarona. Absolutely majestic, a powerhouse. I love it. But number 1 is actually my favorite Pokemon of all time, and it probably always will be. It's Arcanine. What's yours? The fighting type is the 7th most common type with 91 individual Pokemon, and these are my top 10 favorites, not including starters, legends, or gimmick forms. Here's some honorable mentions, but 10 is Sirfetch'd, a much needed evolution for Farfetch'd that looks great. 9 is Phalanx. I feel like a lot of people forget this little guy exists, but I love it. It's unique, strong, and I love the concept. 8 is Breloom. I always forget this thing has 130 base attack. It's a beast, especially with Poison Heal. 7 is Toxicroak, but just like Breloom, it's held back by 4 times weakness, but it's still awesome. 6 is Beware. The fluffy, adorable little monster is just fantastic. 5 is Machamp. It's a classic, and I'm a Gen 1er at heart. We're doing a video for every type, so subscribe and don't miss out. 4 is Annihilate. This is exactly what Primeape always needed. It's an absolute powerhouse. 3 is Gallade. I already made the Yu-Gi-Oh joke last time, but let's be honest, it's awesome. 2 is Heracross. Adorable and strong, you can't go wrong. But 1 is one of my favorite Pokemon of all time. It's Lucario. What's yours? The Poison type is the 9th most abundant type with 90 individual Pokemon, almost a third of which are from Kanto. But these are my top 10 favorite overall, not including starters, legends, or gimmick forms. Here's some honorable mentions, but 10 is Whirlipede. It's absolutely awesome, and I like it better than Scolipede. 9 is Toxicroak. It was just in my fighting video, so 8 is Beedrill, a classic and awesome design filled with nostalgia. 7 is Galarian Slowbro. Slowbro was already awesome, but now you give it a cannon arm. 6 is Crobat, probably my most used of this whole list. It's incredible. 5 is Nidoking. You all know I'm a Gen 1er by now, so it can't be a surprise that I love it. And number 4, which is Nidoqueen. They're both so cool and have so much coverage in battle. I'm doing a video for every type, so subscribe and don't miss out. 3 is probably most people's one. It's Gengar. It's absolutely awesome, and don't get me wrong, I love it, but I think it's ever so slightly overrated. 2 is Roserade. Awesome in battle and a gorgeous design. But number 1 is extremely underrated, and I'll defend it all day long. It's Tentacruel. What's yours? There are 89 ground type Pokemon, and these are my top 10 favorites, not including starters, legends, or gimmick forms. Here are the honorable mentions, and number 10 is Mamoswine. The Swinub line desperately needed its evolution, and it looks great. 9 is Ursaluna. Once again, a much needed and very cool evolution for a Gen 2 Pokemon. 8 is Excadrill. It's an incredible Pokemon, and if it wasn't for the one in Clay's gym destroying me, I'd like it more. 7 is Crocodile. What can I say? It's a really cool evil croc. 6 is Phanpy. Yes, Phanpy. I love Donphan too, but Phanpy might be the cutest Pokemon ever. For number 5, I'm going to cheat a little bit and put both of the Nidos. I love them both, and I want to leave some more room for the others. The top 4 is really hard for me, but real quick, I'm making a video for each type, so subscribe and don't miss out. 4 is going to be Gliscor. Great typing and an awesome design. 3 is Steelix. I honestly don't even know why I love it, but I do. 2 is Garchomp. Come on, do I need to explain? And number 1, I don't think it should be a ground type at all, but it is. It's Flygon. What's yours? There are 89 dark type Pokemon, and these are my top 10 favorites, not including starters, legends, or gimmick forms. As you can tell by how awesome these honorable mentions are, this was really hard. But number 10 is Honchkrow, another example of an awesome and very needed evolution for a Gen 2 Mon. 9 is Absol, and it's just really cool. 8 is Sharpedo. If it had a longer body, like, you know, sharks and torpedoes, then it would probably be number 1. 7 is Crocodile. It was just in my ground video. So number 6 is Zoroark. I like the Hisuian form a lot better, but it's still really cool. 5 is Grimmsnarl. I love how they leaned in on the fact that in folklore, not all fairies are cutesy little bugs. Number 4 is Malamar. It was just in my psychic video, but I absolutely love the design. 3 is Umbreon. Not a favorite evolution of mine, but it's still awesome with arguably the best shiny. 2 is Hydreigon. When Gen 5 released, this was very briefly my top favorite Pokemon. But number 1 is the cornerstone of dark types. It's Tyranitar. What's yours? There are 88 dragon type Pokemon, and these are my top 10 favorites, not including legends or gimmick forms. This has to be the hardest list I've made so far. I even love these honorable mentions. But 10 is Altaria. If it came out today, it would definitely be a fairy instead of a dragon, but I still love it. 9 is Salamence. It's incredible, I can't lie, but I don't love it as much as the rest. 8 is Kingdra. I honestly couldn't even tell you why I love it so much. 7 is Tyrantrum. By far my favorite fossil. It is incredibly awesome. 6 is not only left out of the Pseudo Club, but also my top 5. Sorry, Axorus, I still love you, I promise. 5 is Hydreigon. I joke on Gen 5 a lot, but their dragon designs were top tier. 4 is the OG Dragonite. Call it nostalgia all you want, but I love it. 3 is probably the strongest on here, it's Garchomp. 2 is another not quite pseudo, it's Flygon. And I promise I'm just as shocked as you are that I'm putting this at 1, but I am. It's Dragapult. What's yours? There are surprisingly only 86 electric type Pokemon, and these are my top 10 favorites, not including Legends, Megas, or G-Maxes. Here are some honorable mentions, and number 10 is Alolan Golem. I feel like a lot of people dislike it, but I think it's really cool. 9 is Lantern. When it first came out, I thought it was the coolest type combination ever. 8 is Rotom. Honestly, the whole Rotom Dex thing made me like it so much more. 7 is Jolteon, one of my least favorite evolutions, but it's still an awesome electric type. 6 is Ampharos. I think it's genuinely been on every Johto team I've ever had. 5 is Vikavolt, whatever, it's definitely awesome. 4 is Magnezone, definitely my most used line on this list, unless I'm playing a Sinnoh game, and then it's number 3, Luxray. 2 is Alolan Raichu, yes, Alolan specifically, but Pikachu and Raichu both would have made the list somewhere on their own. But number 1, I feel like is a forgotten Pokemon lately, it's Electabuzz. What's yours? There are 86 Rock-type Pokemon, making it the 5th rarest type, and these are my top 10 favorites, not including Legends, Megas, or G-Maxes. Here are some honorable mentions, but number 10 is Rampardos. Such an awesome design, I just wish its other stats didn't make its crazy attack pretty much useless. 9 is Garganacl. It's a beast, and I loved using it, even if its design is pretty goofy. 8 is Golem, and I actually like the Alolan form a lot better, believe it or not. 7 is Dreadnought. Once again, I really enjoyed using it, and I love the design. 6 is Aerodactyl. Maybe it's nostalgia, maybe it's not, but regardless, it's awesome. 5 is Tyrantrum. How could you not like the Rock Dragon T-Rex fossil? 4 is Lycanroc. All 3 forms are really cool, but I love how they used the green flash in the anime for the Dusk form. 3 is Aggron. It should have been a pseudo all this time, but at least it's still one of the coolest rock types. 2 is Tyranitar, one of the coolest Pokemon ever, hands down, but number 1 is one of my favorite Pokemon designs out there. It's Gigalith. What's yours? There are 84 ghost type Pokemon, making it the 4th least common type, and these are my top 10 favorites, not including starters, legends, or megas. Here are some honorable mentions, and 10 is Cofagrigus. I wish it was either part rock or steel type, but it's still awesome. 9 is Dusknoir. I've always thought it was cool, but playing Infinite Fusion has made me love it. 8 is Chandelure. It's an absolute powerhouse, and I love the purple fire. 7 is Hisuian Zoroark, one of the coolest Pokemon designs we've ever gotten. 6 is Ceruledge. Even though I played through Scarlet, not Violet, this thing is absolutely awesome. 5 is Gengar. This may be shocking coming from a Gen 1er, but I think it's kind of overrated. I still love it though. 4 is Phantump. It's just so cute to look at this little guy. 3 is Doublade, probably my hottest take so far. I think it's cooler than Aegislash. The pink fits it perfectly. Aegislash probably would have landed at 3 too though. 2 has recently catapulted into my favorites. It's Dragapult. Ghost Dragon is amazing and I love the sleek design. But number 1 is absolutely busted and I love it. It's Mimikyu. What's yours? The Steel type is the 3rd rarest type with only 83 individual Pokemon. These are my top 10 favorites, not including starters, legends, or megas. These are the honorable mentions, and 10 is Cufant. Just like Phanpy, I'm a sucker for cute little elephants. 9 is Excadrill. It's so cool and so strong, how could you not like it? 8 is Corviknight, the end of the regional bird era, and boy did they end it strong. This thing is awesome. 7 is Aggron. It's always given me either pseudo or starter vibes for some reason. I just wish it was a pure steel type. 6 is Tinkaton. ton. Arguably my favorite Paldean Pokemon. They hit the nail right on the head with this one. 5 is Magnezone, by far my most used line on this list, and I will always love it. 4 is Doublade. It's a hot take, I know, but I like it better than Aegislash. The pink fits it better. I do like Aegislash too, though. 3 is Scizor. Bug is my favorite type, and this thing is a big reason for it. Put some respect on the bugs. 2 is Metagross, and this is what a pseudo should be like in my mind. But 1 is my second favorite Pokemon of all time, Lucario. What's yours? The fairy type is the second rarest type with only 73 Pokemon. These are my top 10 favorites, not including starters, legends, or megas. These are the honorable mentions, and number 10 is Florges, the OG fairy, and it's a tank. I just wish it was part grass type. 9 is Clefable, the real original fairy. It's probably just nostalgia, but I think it's adorable and so much fun to use. 8 is Gardevoir. It's a beast, but sadly the internet ruined it. 7 is Whimsicott. I gained a huge new respect for it in my fairy monologue of Sun. It saved the day big time. 6 is Tinkaton. I love the duality of this thing, and it's incredible. 5 is Grimmsnarl. Similarly, the duality is what draws me to this. A dark fairy is an awesome concept, and they pulled it off great. 4 is Togekiss. It's incredible and exactly what the Togepi line needed. 3 is Sylveon. Definitely my most used evolution post Gen 6. Sorry to dethrone you, Vaporeon. 2 is Mimikyu. It's an absolute monster, and I think it's a really cute idea. But 1 is up there for one of my favorite Pokemon overall. It's Alolan Ninetales. What are yours? The Ice type is the rarest type in all of Pokemon, with only 65 individual Pokemon. And to complete this series, these are my top 10 favorites, not including legends or megas. These are the honorable mentions, and 10 is Satitan. I used it in my first playthrough of Scarlet, and it was actually really awesome. 9 is Cloyster. My recent Infinite Fusion run made this thing grow on me a lot. 8 is Frostlass. I've barely ever used it, but I love its design. 7 is Weavile. It's awesome, no doubt, but I don't think I like it as much as most people do. 6 is Aurorus. Once again, I've barely ever used it, but it looks amazing. 5 is Glaceon, and just like with Cloyster, it gained a huge respect for me in that Ice Fusions only run. 4 is Mamoswine. I used it on most of my Heart Gold Soul Silver runs. It's so cool. I just wish it had better defenses. 3 is Walrein. I honestly couldn't tell you why. I just think it looks incredible. 2 is Lapras. Nostalgic, majestic, and incredible. But 1 is up there for a top 10 favorite of all time. It's Alolan Ninetales. What series should I do next? Let me know what you want to see.